welcome back. We're back here with these memory foam half pads. The other day I released a video. I spoke about like the research that's been done about half pads, whether half pads are good or bad or anything like that. So before we get started on this, if you haven't watched that and want to know about the research that's been done on half pads, I'll pop the link up here somewhere. Watch that video first and then pop back here. If not, if you're hanging around, then hello, welcome back to all old viewers, new viewers, in between viewers, whatever you are. Today we're sitting here with the LeMieux Wither Relief Memory Foam half pads. We've got a plain one, I say plain, it's not plain, and we've got a sticky silicone one. So if you're interested in these, sit back, make yourselves a cup of tea and hopefully enjoy, or at least learn something. So we're here today and LeMieux have kindly sent me these to look at. As a saddle fitter, I deal a lot with LeMieux. I really recommend their saddle cloths. If anyone's umming and ahhing about a new saddle cloth, the LeMieux ones are so fantastic. They're such a nice shape. They sit up into the gullet of the saddle. So whether you're into colours and matchy or anything like that, I don't mind. But what I do mind about them is that the cut of them is brilliant and the way they sit up into the saddle is brilliant, and they don't sit on the withers, and they've got those little D-ring attachments so you don't have that pressure point underneath the panel of the saddle. It attaches to the D-ring now. They're just brilliant. So for years I've recommended them. For years I've had the Breathable pads and we use them out fitting. And LeMieux have very kindly sent me these lovely memory foam half pads. And I've always been, I'm going to be really honest here, I've always been a bit like, about the memory foam half pads because they always seem ever so bulky. And I've kind of not really had my hands on them, so to speak, in the flesh. And they've arrived and I think actually I quite like them. So we'll have a look at them today. We'll have a look and we'll discuss what makes them them, really. Anything about them that I think is an issue, anything about them that I think is brilliant. And we will also discuss memory foam really as a pad, because there's a lot of memory foam ones out there, and I have to say again, I do look at a lot of them and think, I see them out of saddle fitting and I think, however, these are really rather nice. And if I don't get on with them as a saddle pad, I'm most definitely going to get on with them as a pillow, because they are so incredibly super soft. Like, So yes, they're lovely. Let's start with this. I'm hesitant to call it plain because it doesn't feel plain. It feels very, very top end. I know you're all going to say, well, LeMieux is expensive, but it does feel very, very top end. So on the little badge here it says new super soft binding, super soft friction-free binding, extensively researched, specially fabricated to smoothly contour edges, blah blah blah. And that is because on some saddle pads, certainly at this time of year, I don't know if anyone's noticed, and actually especially more so this year than any other year in the world, horses can get rubbed. The binding in the back of saddle pads and indeed half pads can rub and snag and pull their little hair out and give you that little bald patch at the back of the saddle area. So this here apparently is super soft friction-free binding. Now, like I said in the previous video, after doing this here at my desk, these will go out to saddle fittings and we're going to try them on horses and see what they're like on horses, see if the horses like them, see if the riders like them, see if the saddles like them. Saddles like them. You know what I mean. So whilst we're sitting here today with them statically, just kind of stroking them, we will also do a video in the future, probably next week, with them on horses to see what difference, if any, they make. But I have to say, just sitting here looking at this, I am pleasantly surprised. I was a little dubious, just down to that little badge. Oh, it's so cute. So, memory foam. In the previous video we spoke about the Breathable half pads, and they are called a closed cell foam, and what that basically means is the foam has got a bit of give to it, but not very much, because inside it is made out of little cells and they're all really close together. So I think, I'm not a scientist, this is what I think closed cell foam means. So I think it means that they're all really close together, so there's not a lot of air in there to sort of push out of the way, therefore they don't have as much give. Whereas memory foam is what's called an open cell foam, which means it's got a lot of give. But the memory foam also has that kind of special memory to it, losing the title. So it's got like a memory to it, so it doesn't spring back straight away. So therefore it's kind of it's a deadening material. It hasn't got a bounce to it because it goes mew, mew. It doesn't go boing, 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 boing. Technical terms these. It's got like, you know, I could do this all day. It almost feels like as satisfying as popping bubble wrap. It's got a really nice feel. So it really squishes down and it doesn't spring back up, and because you don't have that springing back up, it doesn't create a bounce under the saddle. So it's very good. The other thing about memory foam, that what it's designed to do, is you can see it's quite a thick pad. That must be 1.5 inches thick, I would guess. So quite a thick pad. However, when I squeeze it like that, I go down to less than 1 centimetre thick. The research around half pads has shown that the majority of riders ride with a half pad on. The majority of people that have half pads on, their half pad is over 1 centimetre thick. So whilst you look at this and think, whew, that's a bit thick, it actually squishes down to less than the average width of a half pad. And it does that because of the type of foam that it is, which is that memory foam and that open cell wall, cells all wide open, squishing down, lots of air in there. So yes, it's thick, but it is, the majority of it is air. Now the way that memory foam works is, you know, they would say that like it's designed to take out the unevenness, like the lumps in the panel, you know, that helps with saddles that don't fit, etc, etc. But we don't want to talk about saddles that don't fit, because I'm a saddle fitter and I know that you know that I know that you know that we all know that you should be having your saddle checked regularly by a qualified saddle fitter. So we're going to live on the planet where everyone's saddle fits, because that's what I like to think in my head. So regardless of badly fitting saddles, it does say that it can help with like pressure distribution. It can help with like older backs where they need to muscle up. And the way that memory foam claims to do that is by kind of filling in the gaps. So you can imagine, like, say this is 1.5 inches thick-ish, but it squashes down to 1 centimetre thick. So where the pressure is the most, it will squash down the most, and then the rest of it will kind of fill. So what I find that these do is that when the panels sit on the back, they squash down, it leaves like a little surrounding kind of like pillow cushion, padded bit kind of around the edge of the panel, and that can help sort of secure the saddle a little bit. A lot of people absolutely swear by these sorts of pads, these memory foam pads, and as they go, this is a particularly delicious one, because one of the main problems that I find with these half pads, these types of half pad memory foam ones, is that they fail to think about what goes on at the front of the saddle. Because memory foam squashes, yes, we know that. It squashes under pressure, yes, we know that. But what about at the front of the saddle? So if you think here at the front of the saddle, where your saddle sits, and it comes up into the gullet here, you don't want it pressing on your horse. Regardless of whether it squishes or not, you don't want it to feel tight through your saddle. So what they've done here is not only if they've got like a channel down the middle, like all half pads should have. If your half pad doesn't have this channel down the middle, then throw it on the fire, stamp on it, burn it, don't have it. Because it's that channel that stops what's called the medial pressure. So the pressure on the inside against the spine of your horse. You don't want that pressure here, so you want it to have a nice clear channel. And on this half pad here, look how wide it goes at the front. Can we see that? That must be 4 inches wide at the front there. And that means that over your wither and at the front here, there's absolutely no pressure. There's nothing. It's kind of like a meshy material, so I'm guessing it breathes. Yeah, I can blow through it, it breathes. So I'm guessing it's like a breathable material here, so you don't get hot and sweaty over the wither, and it sits so clear because there's so much of it. Annoyingly, the light is that side, that might be work better. So can we see how wide that is? It's wider than my hand, yeah? So because of that, you're not going to get the problem that a lot of these memory foam ones suffer from, which is they get so bulky around the wither. And that will be why I guess this is called a wither relief memory foam pad, because it's relieving the withers of that pinching that you get in so many of these pads. So this is fabulous. This is a grey one. I presume they come in other colours. Well, this one's a navy, so they must come in navy. So they probably come in the normal LeMieux colours. I'll check at the end and also check the price for you. But this is a nice shape. So it's got that nice shape up into the wither. It's got that amazing clearance through the side of the wither so we don't get that pinching. And it's also got a nice shape here. So if you think of a horse, and these are the sorts of horses that these can be really good on. Think of a horse, think of, in your mind, a stereotypical ex-racer that's lost all of its muscle. Now, not all ex-racers lose all their muscles, and not all of them look like this, but think of the typical, stereotypical one in your head that's got that gap behind their wither. They have like that shelf taken out. And think of the shape of it. It's got that gap behind the wither and along the ribs and up a little bit, and it's basically that shape, isn't it? Yeah, so these sit, the shape of them, fill that void of muscle when they need to. They also are designed to not add bulk under the saddle. Now, I know that a lot of people think that half pads make your saddles narrower, but the way that these are shaped, they're designed to lift the saddle, not make it narrower. If you're interested in that again, please pop back to the Prozorb video because I talked about that, and I talked about how they don't narrow saddles. And I'm also doing a live video this Friday, Friday the 26th of March. We're doing a live evening video where we're going to talk about half pads. So if you're interested in that, then pop along to that. I've now put the pressure on. That means I have to film, edit, and upload this video before Friday. Otherwise, that makes no sense. Today's Monday, but I'm on lockdown, so we're good. So what's the difference between this one and this one? Well, this one here is called the silicone version, and they are the exact same shape. They are exact same everything. They've got that lovely, oh God, you've got that gap there. A lovely wither relief on them. They're made out of the same delicious, scrumptious memory foam, but this one has on it a silicone topping. So think of those sticky bum joppers, your favourite sticky bum joppers that stick you on the seat, stop you from falling off. That's what this is like. So it's not a thick silicone, it's just like a little layer like you would have on your joppers. Not lumpy bumpy, it won't affect the saddle face at all. Now what this does is it just gives that little bit of grip to your saddle. Now please note, we have none under there. And that's because this goes onto the saddle cloth, and cotton on cotton, it's got enough of its own grip. But if you've got a problem with your saddle being a little bit way up on top, these can help a little bit because they can help to stick your saddle to the pad. They're not going to stick the pad to the horse's back, they're not going to snag the horse's hair, they're not like that. They're just a little bit of extra grip for your saddle to sit on top of your pad. So that's what the silicone does. It gives you that little bit of grip and can help hold the saddle more stably. Now these are quite good stabilising pads anyway, because like we were saying, when they squish down and they have that like a little pillow, so like rest in, that can really help stabilise the saddle. So these sticky ones combined with that little kind of bit of a little bit of a pillow can just help your saddle sit a bit stably. And they're a bit scary, I'm not going to lie. When you first put them on and you see your saddle before you girth it up and before it squashes down, you think, God, it's going to be like riding a 22-hand horse, because they do sit. But then you girth it up and that happens, all the air squishes out, and then it kind of just gives your saddle a bit of a hug. And in this case, a bit of a sticky hug that you can't quite get out of. A little bit like me at the end of lockdown. I'm not a huggy person at all. Anyone that knows me, I'm not particularly tactile at all. Oh, but on lockdown, all I want to do is hug people. I was in the petrol station the other day and I was paying for something, and this guy's hand came over to give me my change, and I just wanted to stroke it. And it wasn't like he was a nice guy, he was about 12, but he wasn't actually 12, he worked in a garage. Yeah, I just wanted to touch him and stroke him. And oh, as soon as lockdown is over, I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be the human equivalent of this. I'm going to give you all a little hug, a little bit sticky, and you're going to struggle to get loose. That's me. That's what you're going to get here. So this is a little bit of a hug for your saddle. This is a little bit of a sticky hug that you can't quite escape from. So that's the difference between the silicone version and the non-silicone version. What they have in common is their shape, that wonderful shape. The way they sit up into the wither is lovely. A lovely clear spine. A fairly, not firm, because again you can wiggle it, but firm enough to really sit it up into the channel of the saddle. And then that absolutely, I'll show you on this one because it shows better, the absolutely brilliant like wither relief area, so you don't get that squishing against the side of the wither. Now, I'm judging this purely on them sitting here in front of me. Like I've said, I've not used these particular ones on horses, but we're going to do it during some saddle fittings. I'm going to try them out and see what they're like. And I've surprised myself in how much I'm looking forward to it, because I do think they're rather nice. And there's some horses that I can think of, my own included, because he's an old boy. He's an old boy. I'm a real fair weather rider, and let's face it, it's not been very fair weather recently, so he hasn't been ridden very much at all recently. So he's really suffering from his back. It's just like bleh, bleh. This might really help him. They're not just for horses whose backs have gone bleh, because again, they don't actually have as much bulk in as you think, but they are also very good for horses who are very sensitive backed. If you are, say for example, these would be good for, say for example, you've got a saddle, fits beautifully, you've had it fitted properly. This is a key, it has to be fitted. Remember, everyone's saddle has to get fitted properly. So you've got a saddle, you've had it fitted properly, you're on the show jumper, and he bascules like a dream over fences, and you get to the fence and everything sits beautifully, and he's up in the air and he bascules, and as he bascules, your saddle moves, because your saddle has been fitted to him for all other things apart from when he basically folds himself in half. And we're expecting quite a lot from saddles to also fit when the horses fold themselves in half, and in that case sometimes you do find there's a little bit more movement in your saddle than is ideal. Something like this, you imagine the horse bascules, the saddle lifts slightly or moves slightly. This is a nice surface for it to come back down on. It's going to take up an awful lot of shock. Now, I don't think that there's been any research done with these memory foam half pads, and I might be wrong. I know they've done it with the gel, I know they've done it with wool, and I know they've done it with the closed foam, but I don't know if they've done it with these foams. And I don't think they have. As far as I know, they haven't done it, but if anyone has anything different to tell me, if anyone knows if some research has been done with them, and not just the odd person saying, oh, you shouldn't use half pads. So if there's been some proper like peer-reviewed research done, then please give me a shout. I'd be really keen to read it. But as far as I'm aware, they haven't done it, and it would be something that would be interesting to have done, I think, because I can see how shock absorbing these are just by touching them, stroking them, feeling them. I'm gonna go home now and sleep on them. Okay. I hope you found this useful in some way, shape or form, and please don't forget to tune into the live on Friday, and also don't forget that we're going to be putting these pads on a horse, and I'm dead excited because I do think they're going to be rather nice. Despite my initial concerns about the thickness of them, they are actually, look, you can see here I've been leaning on this. Look, you see? Look at that. It takes ages to come back, so it's not bouncy. I don't think they're going to be bouncy. We're going to have a look and see and try them out. Now, I haven't been paid for this review, I haven't been paid to do this, so please don't get your knickers in a twist and say I'm only saying these are good because I get paid for it, because that's not true. I have for many, many years. I think I was one of LeMieux's first ever accounts. Now they're probably going to watch this and go, you weren't, you twat. But I think that I am pretty sure that I got an account with LeMieux when they only did very plain basic black saddlecloths, and they started to go into the half pads. I might be completely imagining this, but I've had an account with them for many years, and I have never ever recommended anything else other than their saddlecloths, because they are brilliant. So this is a real genuine thing. I genuinely love everything that LeMieux make, and unfortunately they're not paying me for this, although they might see this and be like, give the girl £1 million. You never know. We can live in hope, especially because I'm not working at the moment because my son's got COVID. Anyway, lovely spending these last few minutes with you again. As always, tune into live on Friday. If you're watching this after Friday, then there is a thing somewhere on my YouTube channel where you can click back at previous lives, and if you find that, click on that, and then the Friday's live will be on there, and that's all about half pads. And you can ask as many questions as you like about half pads, about these, about others, about anything at all, because I do also discuss things other than LeMieux, I promise. Any questions that you've got at all, please fire away, fire them at me, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care, stay safe, stay well, lots and lots of love.